Welcome everybody, Justin Cooper here, and today we're going to talk about our Garmin electronics. Everything from mapping to side scan, down scan, all the way to LiveScope. It's going to help you catch more fish, so y'all stay with me. First off, it starts with a good mapping system, and Garmin has what you need. With our contours on thousands and thousands of lakes across the country, you can highlight different depths. You know, right here I have red, orange, yellow, green, purple, and blue, and it's all different depths. So like a 0 to 5, a 5 to 10 or 15, and so on and so forth. And what that does, that helps me distinguish the depth that I want to be targeting. So today I'm thinking it's kind of a fall transition. These fish are probably leaving the main lake and starting to head back towards the back sleeves pocket. So I'm going to look for points that are secondary points. As we zoom in right here, this is what I mean. A little bit of a point here, a little bit of a point here, right here, a little bit of a hump and a point right here. This is the stuff that I want to graph and utilize with my side view and my clear view. And that's what we're going to do right now, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So we have this secondary point right here, kind of a little bit of a hump, but we have tighter contours, and tighter contours is when those lines get closer together, and that means that there's a steeper drop, and that's more likely where these bass are going to hang out and ambush their bait. So that's where they want to be. So right now I'm going to graph over the top of this, or right off the edge of this kind of hump point, and just make a couple loops around it and stare at my side scan right here and see if we can see anything I want to target for, you know, maybe it'd be a rock pile or a brush pile, a couple stumps or something like that right here. So this is some brush right here. This is a brush pile that we just went over. We're just going over another brush pile. Actually, if you look close, and the good thing with Garmin is I can kind of zoom in for you, there's actually a couple fish sitting right there on the edge of that brush pile right there. A couple bass, what it looks like to me. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna drop my cursor, put it right there on that brush pile, and I'm gonna come up here to this little plus sign, and I'm gonna drop a waypoint. I can pick my symbol. I'm looking at a brush pile, so I'm gonna pick this tree right here. That's what I like to use for a brush pile. The waypoint is dropped. I come back over here to my mapping system, and there's my waypoint right there. So what I like to do is kind of get like a little bit of a triangulation. I'm gonna make another pass just off the edge of it, see if there's any more brush around that I may need to know about before I drop that trolling motor and look at it on LiveScope. So I've kind of made a couple passes around that initial waypoint that I dropped. Went over a couple more brush piles that were a little bit deeper that you see right here. But this is actually the brush pile that I marked initially. So you're looking for shadows, and I think of like side scan like a flashlight. You shine that flashlight. If there's an object that you're looking at that's, you know, lit up, behind it is casting a shadow. And side scan is kind of a similar thing. That side scan shoots out, hits that object, and it's going to cast a shadow in behind it. So if you can see, it's a little bit darker. Kind of gives it like a little bit darker, cloudy kind of look. That tells me that there's you know, an object that it's hitting, and it's creating a big shadow behind it, which is typically going to be a brush pile. So I just went directly over that brush pile again from a different angle, and it really is telling me what I'm looking at is what is down there. So there's two different brush piles, one a little bit shallower that you can see right here, and one a little bit deeper. And this one right here looks like it's got a bunch of crappie on it. So these are these little small dots that's kind of sitting on top and around. But if I look at this deeper one, it looks to be like a little bit older. All it is just kind of individual, you know, limbs and trunks and whatnot. There's not much, you know, foliage. Like that looks like a fresher brush pile to me because it's more of a more cloudy kind of look. But this one you can actually see individual limbs, and this is where the bass are sitting. There's a bass right there, a bass right there, a couple over here, and those gonna be, they're bigger than your crappie, you know, so they're gonna be a little bit bigger dots. That's what I'm looking for. So let's drop that trolling motor, put scope on it. Let's see if we can catch one. All right, now that we've found some brush that has some fish in it, I just stepped up to the front deck, picked up a rocking shad. Let's see if we can catch one. You know, so I got right here Here's my waypoints that I just dropped. You know, having everything linked together when I drop a waypoint in my console, it also sends it straight to the bow up here, so I know exactly where my waypoints are. So now I'm gonna get lined up using my LiveScope. So we've got that LiveScope pointed up there at those brush piles. So here's the shallower one I was talking about. Here's the crappie sitting on top. If I move just a little bit to the right, here's the little bit deeper. And there's our bass sitting out here in this deeper one. They're pretty tied into it, but those harder or brighter color returns, that's your fish. Actually, that's probably a bass at the base of that one that has some crappie in it too. There's a couple there. So let's make a couple casts, see if we can catch one. So here's my bait right here falling. I'll try to bring it right over the top of that second pile. All right, so now we have LiveScope pointing at these brush piles right here. Here's the one that was a little bit shallower, like I said. We got some crappie sitting on top, and there's actually a couple bass kind of sneaking around the bottom down in here. But then as I pan to the right a little bit, here's the brush pile that actually had the bass sitting in that I could see on my ClearVü. And here's one right here. He's kind of going back into the brush. They're kind of sitting in it, which is typical this time of year. They like to really be inside the cover. Here's one kind of peeking his head out right here. Well, let's make a cast. See if we can get him to come out here and look at this rocking shad. There's my bait falling down right there about 65 feet. So I want to cast past it and bring my bait right above it. So we've got our LiveScope point at these brush piles right here. Here's this little bit deeper one that looked like it had some bass around it. There's the shallower one. As you can see, there's a bunch of crappie sitting on top. May even be a bass or two at the base of it, but this is definitely the one that's got a couple bass in it. They're pretty kind of tight in there. There's one kind of peeking his head out right here on the left side of it, just kind of poking his nose out. We'll throw that rocking shad over the top and see if we can entice him. So I want to throw my rocking shad past him and try to bring it right over the top of that pile. Oh, I thought that was it. Thought that was it. Kind of hung the pile just a second there. See if we can make another cast at him. Oh, kind of had one right there. That's him going back down. Just kind of nipped it. It didn't really eat it like he wanted it to. Give him a couple more casts. You know, just because we have our LiveScope and I can see them, I can watch my bait go down to them, doesn't mean you're going to catch them. You know, sometimes the points don't work out, but around docks is a great place to find brush piles as well. You know, people like to put out brush for the crappie, catch them off the dock, this and that. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna graph a little stretch of docks, see if there's any brush around there. So just graph this stretch of docks, and in between these docks, here's a brush pile right here. As you can tell, the bright colored spot, that's the pile itself, and it's casting a big shadow in behind it. So that's something that I'm gonna go back, mark. Waypoint's gonna fall down here on my mapping. Turn around, see if we can catch one off that. All right, so here's the brush that we just marked in between these docks. A little bit shallower, which could be, you know, it's a trial and error on finding the right depth when it comes to brush or any structure in general. When you finally get a bite, you can start running that same depth and hopefully clue you into a good pattern. So we'll try this shallow brush here. So being a shallower brush, I've opted for a jerk bait. There's one on it right there already. So here's a shallow brush right here. There's a fish right here on this side. There's two fish. There's one on the back side. Oh, here they come after it. Pulled a few of them out. One tracking it. Little fella. I'm about to go to the left just a little bit. Brace yourself. I don't want to kick you out. So not much luck with the brush, but brush is trial and error. It's not going to be fish or biting fish in every brush pile in the lake. So it's a numbers game. You have to hit a lot to find a bunch of fish or biting fish. Here's another point right here on my graph, and actually I've already went over it. There's actually an old roadbed that runs across, which is a great place to find some fish located. So if we go over here to my side scan, you can actually see here's the roadbed running across right here. So the lighter color is soft bottom. Once it gets brighter, it gets harder bottom. There's a bunch of, you know, bigger rocks around, so it's definitely an older road. Maybe it's been broken up or wherever the case may be, but this is something that you can definitely find a bunch of fish, you know, all year long. So what I like to do when I find a roadbed, I like to mark both sides of it, give it a mark, different symbol. You know, maybe I just put a, you know, a blue square or something like that on it. That way I know it's not a brush pile or anything. Oh. And then I'm gonna come over here, mark the other side of it, drop another waypoint, and now I'm set on a 70-foot scale on my side scan, you know, both ways. So I'm gonna drop one at the end over here, and one over here on the other end, and essentially I just marked around 140 feet of that road. Now when I stand up there on the trolling motor, look at my map, I know exactly which direction that road goes, and hopefully catch some fish off of it. So right there on scope, you can see this is actually the roadbed that goes across. There's some individual fish sitting on it. Oh, I just had one shoot up and try to get it right there. He goes back down. Missed him. See some more kind of scattered out here. Let's see if we can get one in the bite. Just pulled one off that roadbed. There he is chasing me. Lost interest in me. Not 12 incher. So right here, I look at that roadbed. There's actually a school of fish sitting on it. Comes up one to my bait right there. Just turned around, went back. There we go. There we go. Nice little spot on the rock and shad. Wait. And that's all it is, guys. That's how I go from my console, looking at a map, identifying places that are going to be high probability areas, whether it be points, you know, primary points, secondary points, docks, potential road beds, anything like that. And then go to those areas, idling around, looking at my side view, looking at my clear view, finding those road beds, finding the brush piles, finding rock piles, and then from there, getting up here with LiveScope and taking advantage. Right there, I'd marked that road bed. I kind of started going down it, found a school of fish using my LiveScope, casting my rock and shad in there, and just like that, put a couple in the boat. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps. Hope you utilize it to catch a lot more fish next time you go out there. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.